after the 7 minutes, after this old potato farmer has talked about what it takes and the lessons that he has learned over life and how he has worked hard and toiled, and he's sitting there in this blue jumpsuit, got his hat on, and you can tell that the guy has just been through life and seen it all. But at the very end of this sunset, he says this: we like the life. It builds character. And I love that closing line, because here's this guy that has lived this life, living this life, doing the hard work, but he's learned so many lessons along the way, and he's loved it because he's built character. And what he doesn't say in there, he says, we like the life, we got filthy rich. We like the life, we got this. He shares this message of we like the life because it builds character in his life. And I appreciate that, because I think that just dovetails into who we are as a company. As I think about what you do as leaders, what you do is you build character. We learn how to do hard things, and along the way, we build character. And it also dovetails with an article that I really, really like that's called The Crucibles of Leadership. It comes out of Harvard Business Review, and I've got some notes here I'm going to refer to. But it's this concept that through the crucibles of life, through the challenging moments of life, what happens is we become better. We learn how to become extraordinary leaders. Now, for those of you that don't know what a crucible is this: in the old days, medieval chemists that would heat up impure metals. And what they would try and do with those is they would heat them up so hot that they would hope they would turn into something purified and very, very valuable, typically gold on that. And so when you think about a crucible of leadership, this concept of this trying, refining experience that can make us better as leaders. And the reason I'm talking to you about this is because I know that many of you have already been through crucibles in your life. I know some are going through them right now. And for sure, all of us will go through crucibles. And we can deal with them in two ways. We can choose to use them as things that can take us down, or we can choose to learn and to grow from them. I want to read the opening paragraph of this article, because this is what captured my attention on this. He said this: as lifelong students of leadership, we were fascinated with the notion of what makes a leader. Why is it that certain people seem to naturally inspire confidence, loyalty, and hard work, while others, who may have just as much vision and smarts, stumble again and again? It's a timeless question, and there's no simple answer. But we've come to believe it has something to do with the different ways that people deal with adversity. Indeed, and I love this line, indeed, our research has led us to conclude that one of the most reliable indicators and predictors of true leadership is an individual's ability to find meaning in challenging or even negative events, and to learn from even the most trying of circumstances. Put another way, the skills required to conquer adversity and emerge stronger and more committed than ever are the same ones that make extraordinary leaders. And I love that, because as I look at people here that I know have had crucible moments, I can look and I can hear their stories, and I can see how it's been refined. I've looked at leaders, considered leaders in this last year and a half, as we've gone through these headwinds, and as we've weathered those so well, where there have been some that have had crucibles that have chosen to make those moments where they have grown and they have become more extraordinary in the process. Because in that process, what you have to do as a leader is you have to double down on yourself. You have to question yourself. You have to question your judgment. You have to question your values. You have to dig deeper than you ever have before in those moments. But it's that exercise by which you become more sure of yourself, of what your values are, of what you offer, and how you can become a more extraordinary leader. So I want to share a personal experience and this is not a statement that I'm an extraordinary leader, but it is an experience that I had that was a crucible moment in my life, and it happened a number of years ago. It is actually when I first jumped into this industry. I got recruited to another company. Family was still in Utah. We had moved to Idaho, and at the time of the change, or at the time that we had made this transition, the company needed to make some fundamental changes within its organization. Okay? And let me just say this first. This is not a precursor to anything that we're doing, okay? Just so this is not trying to warm you up in any way. Just an experience that I had. But it was a big change, and it was a needed change within the organization, and it would impact a lot of people as well. And as I understood it, to me it made perfect sense, and I could see both from a short-term view and from a long-term view that it was something that we would need to do in order to be successful, to really have a viable, long-term, sustainable business. But it would require sacrifice, and it would require change. And so as I got there, I was bought in, and we went out on the road, and we went from city to city to city to city. And as we did this, I became kind of the poster child of the guy that was the author of this. It really wasn't me, but I was the new guy, so I was the beneficiary of being the guy that put this together. But people didn't like me. I was unpopular. They questioned my motive. They questioned my intent and why we were doing this. And this was just crazy, and this was going to hurt their lives in the short term, and why are you doing this to me? And I remember as we went from this city to city and had one-on-ones with people and met with leaders that were not happy with us at all, it was just like boom, 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 getting it from all sides. And it was one of the most trying times of my life, of my business life. I wasn't with my family, so I had no one's shoulder to cry on at the time. I went back to this little condo in Idaho Falls on 17th Street that we had. I can still remember just vividly. We had this little condo, and it was just kind of bare walls, had a little twin bed in there, had a TV that had antenna and had 2 fuzzy channels, had an electric heater on the floor. And I would go to Taco Bell and Dairy Queen and get my bag, and I would come back and I'd turn the electric heater on the wall and just sit here like this and eat and just wallow, and wonder, what in the world am I doing? And it was this time where I had to double down on my own belief in what we were doing. But something kind of amazing happened in that process, and it wasn't just a 2-week deal. This was a year-long process. As I jumped into this and I poured my emotions into it, what I started to do is I started to realize how strongly I believed in the purpose. And in the process, I started to question my own values. And I developed a greater vision, and I developed this greater belief in who I was and what I could do and how I could help people move through the challenging, through the tough times. And I had to question myself in this, but I became a voice. And I became an example of someone that could help lead this organization through this process. And it took a long time, and there was a lot of self-doubt. And there were times when I just wondered, what in the world am I doing? Should I quit now? Lick my wounds and go home. Well, fortunately, we didn't. I didn't. We got better and better, and we made it through this process. And honestly, it was a phenomenal result from the standpoint is it changed many, many lives for the better. And as I look back on that moment now, if you were to talk to the guys that I work with sometimes, as we go through tough times here, as we navigate change and do things, I look back on that experience, and I know with a certainty that we can go through crucible times in our businesses and in our personal lives, and if we're focused on doing the right things for the right reasons and trying to do it to the best of our abilities in the right ways as leaders, that we can get through those times, and that will prevail and that will win at the end, and we will become stronger, more confident, and maybe even extraordinary leaders in someone's view. And this article really points out 4 traits that emerge as you go through these crucible moments. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but there are things that as I look back, I realized these are traits that I had to develop in order to get through these crucibles. The first one was the ability to engage others. in what the meaning of that crucible was, the points of relatability, that you can take those and you can show them what they not only meant for you, but what it can mean for the people that you're trying to lead through change, or even if it's not that change, through other pieces. You have to have that ability to engage others in shared meaning. If you can't do that, the article says you will be utterly lost, because that is a trait that you have to have. The second point is that of developing a distinctive and a compelling voice. What I learned in my experience as I went through that experience was, at first I was kind of on borrowed light. I was using the reasoning of others in the organization, and as we got into the thick of this thing, I realized that I had to realize, why was I doing this? Why do I believe in this? What's the purpose we're doing this? How does this align with my values? Does this really align with the long-term purpose of where we're going and what we're doing? And over time, what happened is I developed my own voice, because people knew that I cared, that I believed in it. And not only did I care about the company, but I cared about it because it had an impact on the people of that organization, and they knew that I believed that it would be good for them long term. But I had to develop a distinct and a compelling voice, which means sometimes you're going to have to stand up, you're going to have to speak up, and you're going to have to do that consistently. And even if you don't have all of the answers, that you can still share your belief, it's the right direction. And to do that consistently and keep pointing yourself there. And if you'll do that, you can develop that distinctive and compelling voice. And the other piece is, be willing as that voice. This is more about not what's right or not who's right, it's about what's right. And if people know that you have that intent, that's how you can develop a compelling voice. Very key, a sense of integrity. As you go through these moments, you've got to maintain your integrity. You've got to maintain your values. You've got to make your honor greater than your moods as you go through these experiences. I remember going through this experience and just being boom, 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 and people questioning my intent, questioning my motive. And that's painful when you believe that your intent is right and people are questioning, what you're doing. And there were times when I wanted to punch people. I just flat out wanted to punch people. I know that if they punched back, I would have lost. But at the same time, I also knew that I needed to make my honor greater than my mood, that I needed to keep things on a high level. And if I would do that, I would be more effective in leading people through change. And I became better because I realized that even in the throes of tense situations, you can maintain your integrity. Key. The fourth, and I'm out of time, so I'm going to have to move quickly, Carrie, I'm watching the clock, is the adaptive capacity. And really what adaptive capacity is, it's this ability to transcend adversity, to go through and to come out on the other side stronger. But there's two pieces to it that they point to. It's this ability to grasp context and this sense of hardiness. What does grasp context mean? It means as you're in this situation that you're able to pull yourself out, to helicopter up, and look at the bigger picture and to see how it fits in the realm of everything that's happening. And in the context of all the other dynamics that are around. And the ability to do that, I think, is such a remarkable trait of leaders. As we have some of our members of our CAB, the ones I respect the very, very most are those that have the ability to put on many hats and can weigh out different perspectives and see things differently. And although that's a tough thing to do when you're in the middle of the crisis, when you're in the middle of the crucible, okay, that's one that will give you great strength and will help you engage and lead others. And of course, hardiness is really just what it sounds like. It's that grit. It's the ferocious determination. It's the pushing through no matter what. Knock me down, I'm going to get back up again. And it's those four things, those four traits that come out of crucible moments. And if you can develop those as you're going through crucible moments, those are the pieces that create true leadership. It really is the stuff of true leadership. So as you're here, And I go, this isn't the warmest and fuzziest opening in the world, right? To talk about the crucibles of leadership. But as we look at who you are and what you can become, each one of you wants to become this leader and lead at a higher level. And as you go through these moments, even though they're hard, even though they're trying, and they will be, anything that's good requires work and requires sacrifice. And you as a leader will have an opportunity to develop. And I know that I just know, because I know many of your stories, there are extraordinary leaders in here, and there are many extraordinary leaders yet to be developed. And I just have great confidence because it'll be you who leads us as a company to greater heights as we continue to deal with challenges and opportunities, and as you lead teams of people who want to simply change their lives for the better, to lead them through a different place. That's what leaders do. That's what your job is to do as you go home. Okay, I'm out of time, but I'm going to end with something. I talked a little bit about people coming to Utah, and it really is always this kind of cool experience for me. It's always one where I get the goosebumps on the arms, and I kind of tear up a little bit sometimes, because I just watch these people that are coming in, they're flying in from across the country, and they're going, man, we're here because we want to change our lives. We're here because we want to build a business. We're here because we've got people that are counting on us, and we want to get better, and we want to get better. And that's a message back to me that I know our team feels that people are relying on us to make right decisions and to create an opportunity that's going to be real and they can be proud of. And I always walk out of those rooms just kind of going, oh, we got to get this right. We've got to work harder, and we've got to work smarter, and we've got to do better. But one day when a group of coaches was coming in, we talk the business, we reverse engineer, we play ball, we do all this stuff, we one-on-ones, all the business of the business. And I sat in my office for a couple of minutes, and I just thought, but what does a coach do? Okay, really, at the end of the day, we're in the business of building businesses, but really we're in the business of changing lives. And we have this unique ability to do that. So I got this little thought of just like every day you change everyday lives. And then I thought, what does that look like? And so I just wrote down a list, and I've actually typed them out now, and I don't even like them typed out because they meant more to me when they were scribbled out. But I just want to read some of these that I believe how you change lives every day. And there's nothing earth-shattering here, okay? You do that by sharing our world-class products, by extending friendship, by sharing your knowledge. You do that by showing that you care. You do it by creating a community, a tribe, a place that people can belong, where they can feel safe, where they can feel good about themselves. You do that by opening doors, by opening opportunities, by opening hearts, by opening minds. You help change the lives of those you touch every single day. You help people smile. You help them laugh. You help them sweat. You build belief. You help them feel, you change the way they feel emotionally. You help people change physically. You help them change the way they think about their health, about their homes, about their futures, about who they are, about the potential they have, and about who they can become. You give them hope. You help them break bad habits. You help them create new habits. You help them live better, more productive, and more fulfilling lives. You help them do hard things. You help them create character. And what you do, and I love this, is that it transcends generations. It goes from you to them, to their kids, and to generations that you'll never see because of the seeds and the change that you've created. You make a difference in people's everyday lives, many differences. You impact choices that these people you come into contact with every single day. You change priorities, and you make their lives better every day. And you do that in a series of just small moments, because that's what you do, because that's who you are, and because that's really at the core of our mission. And it's absolutely awesome. Carl would call it stunning. I would call it noble. And I just want to thank you for being coaches and doing all those small things that change lives as leaders. So we're going to keep going with a great morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you to you guys. And it's now my pleasure to bring out 2017 Elite 10 coach, Angie Delmar.